connection. That one not thinking clearly changed my life. I set my drink down and I went to to go get the drink. I came back and I handed him the bottle and I said, "Happy birthday." As I was handing him the bottle, Chance Stewart, he grabbed the bottle and he turned towards the crowd. And he went to waving the bottle and said, "We popping bottles in this place," in the DJ booth. And I take my drink. The moment I take my drink, I knew I could taste the bitterness. I knew I fucked up. And I was sitting there and I started feeling funny. I turned in my chair to the girl that was behind me. She was Vietnamese and white. I turned to her. She was also in the DJ group. And I said, "Help me. Get me out of here. They got me. They slipped something in my drink." The girl looked at me dead in my face and snatched away from me. And turned back and started talking to the guy.
Air It Out Podcast, the hottest podcast in Louisiana. Y'all tap. Air it out, man. Y'all gotta get me on the podcast. Air It Out Podcast, Shreveport, Louisiana. Hey, man. Air It Out Podcast, check it out, my nigga. Hold you up, check it out. Fuck with them. Fuck with me. Yo, what's up? This is your main man, Slink Johnson, tapping in with you one time for the one time. And right now, you watching the Air It Out Podcast, man.
About this person, Robert Bouchon, who has posted this status, and he collaborates, if you will, often with MJ Constidious Johnson, this nonprofit group Best 13, and we got interrupted by a dog. So something about this one case caught my eye, and I went digging. And I looked at police reports and read those, and I was just the case is kind of interesting. For gift cards or different things if you vote early. And I have something to say about that. And I think it should appall everybody that churches are doing this, or that anybody's doing it, because to me it's like buying votes. Because their taglines are, "Let's make history," and things like that. And y'all know what they're talking about.
One of the things that I think helped us most was after the primary, we jumped on the Zoom call, about 20 or so people. MJ jumped on, Robert, Shalette, several people that was just concerned about our turnout.
Sure.
Robert Bouchon was going to be on the show.
That's right.
And he told me, he said, "Alvin," he said, "let me tell you what I want you to do." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I want you to thank Robert Bouchon. And I want you to thank Marcus Johnson of Best 13. He said that day you put Robert on the
Port.
You know, it was Robert, Marcus, Quentin Alt.
Oh, yeah.
There was so many of those young men and ladies that we're so proud of. And we couldn't have done it without their help.
Sweet Pack mine. My boy always eating. Hey, playing okay.
Okay, before we begin, I want to set the tone for this conversation. This is not an interrogation. This is not a courtroom. This is not about rushing, proving, or pressuring. This is a space built on choice, control, and care. Trauma affects memory, the body, the nervous system. Sometimes memories aren't clear. Sometimes they're fragmented. Sometimes there are gaps. That does not mean someone is lying. It means their brain was trying to survive. Tonight, you're not expected to perform, convince, or relive anything in a way that harms you. You are invited to speak only from what you remember, what you experienced, and what you believe in your own words. I also want to be clear for our audience. What you are about to hear reflects your personal memories, perceptions, and beliefs. This conversation does not assert legal conclusions or findings of guilt beyond what exists in public record. My role is to listen with compassion, ask responsible questions, and allow space for truth-seeking even when the truth is complex or uncomfortable. If at any moment you need to pause, breathe, step away, or stop entirely, the choice is always yours. Before we begin, do you understand the purpose of this conversation, and do you feel comfortable continuing?
Yes, I do.
Thank you for trusting us with your voice. Before we start, I know it takes a lot of courage to do something like this, and I know it's probably been weighing heavy on you for a while. So I just want to give you a hug of endearment before we begin for being so strong. So, before this night ever happened, who were you as a person?
I was fearless, living my best life early. You know, the wild days when you're just having fun and, you know, you're trying to find out who you are and, you know, I always think that, you know, you're a superwoman, you know, and just, I was fearless. Like, I wasn't scared of anything. And I thought I was untouchable. But I was a mother, and I was a sister, and I was a daughter, and I was loved.
Where did you grow up, and what was your childhood like?
I was born in Monroe, and I grew up in Shreveport, in and out of foster care, and I grew up in City Grove, Shreveport.
How would the people closest to you have described you back then?
Basically, outgoing, spontaneous. I would be in Shreveport one minute, out the next thing you know, they call, I'm in Houston, Texas. I'm all over, you know. I enjoy being who I was learning who I was. I was enjoying it, you know. I was a mother and it was fun, and, you know, and I just, growing up with my childhood, I never knew what was in store for me, what God's plan was for me. And if you ever want to make him laugh, you tell him what you got planned. Then you see how it come out. So.
What dreams or goals did you have for your life at the time?
At the time, I danced. I'm gonna be honest, I danced. I grew up with a rough life. I had to learn how to take care of myself. And you know, growing up in City Grove at a young age, they teach you how to survive, and they teach you the rules of surviving and how it goes. And I still, to this day, live my life by a lot of those rules and laws that it was taught to me. And but I wanted to be a headline. I wanted to be a Holly Berry, you know. What kid don't look and want to be a superstar, you know, but I only had one talent, and that was dancing. And that's what I started doing.
How did you first get into dancing or club work?
I was in New Orleans, and Katrina and Rita happened, and they was like, they're having a thing to sponsor. They needed women to dance to sponsor, to give to the surviving mothers, to help them get their kids stuff all over because they lost everything. So I volunteered to be one of the girls at Shishi's in New Orleans, first place I ever danced. And I made a lot of money for them that night. And I was like, Lord, like, that could change my life back home.
Right.
So, you know, that's how I got into doing it. And there was, dancing was actually just strictly dancing. And it was just selling a fantasy. And it was glamorous at the time. It was everything that every little girl think that they want, you know, all eyes on them. They're the star at the moment, you know, until they walk off the stage. So I enjoy entertainment.
What did their work represent for you, financially, emotionally, or personally?
At first, I did it to help other women that didn't have, because it was just a sponsorship at first. First time I danced, I didn't bring anything home. We danced, we made our money, and we turned it over to the club to give to the women to go to Target to buy clothes. And the women were so grateful to where I loved the way that felt, you know. So I wanted to be able to do that for my family, you know, be able to come home and, you know, buy my brother's first pair of Jordans, you know. We didn't grow up happy, you know, to be able to pay my mom a light bill because she on Social Security and can't work, you know. Being a girl from Bel Air Projects, we didn't have very many options. Growing up, it was either, if you was pretty, you either got white or you danced if you wanted your independence. So dope, I became a sick girl, and I didn't want to be in it. I rather dance than been independent, and come with the fast life, come drugs, comes with it. And a lot of people don't know, a lot of young women that's out there thinking it's glamorous. Yeah, but drugs comes with it, and you have to be completely strong. You're not ready or mentally prepared for the people that has been out there exceedingly years older than you. You're mentally, your mind is still at a baby. And I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana. When I went to New Orleans from Texas, they're years ahead of us. So it was like a speedball. My life really, literally went before my eyes. You know, I was living the best life. I went from getting off a bus in Houston with nowhere to go, no house, to the next day, I'm in the elevator with, you know, J-Dog and Zero, and we drinking champagne on top of a building, you know, and I'm like, I didn't have nowhere to go yesterday. So that was exciting to me. Like, I never knew what my life could be, you know, and they lived in a condo, and it was nice, you know, and I just wanted that luxury life. And I felt like I could feel like living in projects ain't me. You know, this is me. Like, this is what I want. But I I'm now not willing to pay the price to live for that.
Yeah, tap in.